Welcome to this video on upper bound and lower bounds. Just to begin the video, if you haven't already subscribed, subscribe because it means a lot to me. Okay, let's begin. So, we're looking at upper bounds and lower bounds. So say we were given this question. A fence is 22 meters long to the nearest meter. What are the upper and lower bounds? So when you get a worded question, the first thing you should do is to highlight keywords in the question. So for instance, highlight 22 meters because that's important, and it says nearest meter. So, and to begin this off, when it says nearest meter, we know a meter is 1 m. So when you're doing upper and lower bound questions, this is how I like to solve it. So you take the 1 meter, right? And you just divide it by 2, which you get 0.5. And this 0.5, you just add it to 22. So to get your upper bound. So 22 plus 0.5. And you should get 22.5. So that would be your upper bound. And for our lower bound, we just subtract. So 22 subtracted by 0.5, which you should get is 21.5. So now, to write in, and so now when we have solved this, you take your two answers and just write it into the inequality form, if you know what this is. So basically, it's 21.5 is less than or equal to, just put it as 22, which is less than 22.5. So that's basically your answer. So let's move on to our next question. So if we're given 23 times 56, and you have to state both the upper and lower bounds. So how do we do this? So I'm going to write this out again so it's easier for us. So 23 times by 56. So when you get this type of question, you have to find both the upper and lower bounds for both of the numbers. So for instance, 23, the upper bound, we know you just have to add 0.5 to get your upper bound. So it would be 23.5. That would be your upper bound. And for your lower bound, it would be 22.5. That would be your lower bound. And for your upper bound for 56, you just add on 0.5. If you don't know how to do this, you can just use your calculator just to make sure you get the right result. And you'll get 56.5. And for your lower bound, you would just subtract. So it would become 55.5. So that would be your lower bound. But when you're... So now we've found both our upper and lower bounds. So our question says state both the upper and lower bounds. So now we have to multiply to get our maximum value, the highest possible answer. We multiply the two upper bounds. So 23.5 times by 56.5, and so now you just have to multiply these two together. So now I'm gonna get my calculator out and multiply it. So when you go on a calculator, 23.5 multiplied by 56.5, so you get 1,327.75. So that would be our answer. So that's our upper bound. So upper bound. For our lower bound, we take the lowest possible answers, which are 22.5 multiplied by 55.5. I'm just going to do this straight on the calculator. So 22.5 multiplied by 55.5. You should get 1,248.75. Okay, so now what I like to do is actually multiply both of them both the digits. So 23 times 56, just to find what our answer is. So we get 1,288. So our minimum value is 1,248.75, which is less than or equal to 1,288, which is less than 1,327.75. So that's how you write it. I'll just write it up for you. So 1,248.75 is less than or equal to x, which is the answer to this, which is 1,327.75, right? Yeah. So that's your answer. Okay, so now let's do one more. So state both the upper and lower bounds. So say we were given 79 subtracted by 48. So you probably know how to do this by now. You just add on 0.5 and subtract 0.5 just to get both your upper and lower bounds. So you would get 79.5 for your upper bound, and for your lower bound you get 78.5, and for 48 you'd get 48.5 and 47.5. I'll just read it. Okay. Just put this between so you can see. Okay, so when you're subtracting, to get your highest possible answer, you want to take your highest possible answer subtracted by your lowest possible answer to get your maximum value. Okay, so what I mean is, so we're going to take 79.5. We're going to subtract that by our lowest possible, for 48, what's our lowest possible answer? Which would be 47.5. So 47.5. So just going to get a calculator out. So if you do this on a calculator, 79.5 subtracted by 47.5, you should get 32. So 32. Okay. So now that's our highest possible answer, 32. So, and now for our lowest possible answer, you just take the lowest, you take the lowest from 79 and the highest from 48. So what I mean is, so we're going to take 78.5 subtracted by our highest possible answer for 48, which is 48.5. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, for the first one, you take UB subtracted by LB, and for our second one, for our minimum possible answer, we take LB, which is our lowest bound, subtracted by our highest. So you should get 30 over here, and your range is between 30, which is less than or equal to x, which is less than 32, and x we know is just 79 minus 48, which is 31. So our range is between 30 and 32. So yeah. So hopefully you enjoyed this video on upper and lower bounds. So subscribe for more math content, and bye.